Captain Roan had seen many battles, but none like this. The war against the Vrix, a race of powerful, technologically advanced aliens, was reaching its breaking point. The Exo-Guardians, humanity's most elite force, had fought tooth and nail to keep their home planet safe. Yet, despite their strength, humanity was losing ground. Their enemies were many and their resources were limited. Roan had led his troops with unmatched courage, his mind always sharp, his body always ready for the next fight. But he was also wearing the Exo armor, a nearly indestructible suit that gave him extraordinary strength and protection. It was the key to his survival, and it made him an unstoppable force on the battlefield. One day, as he sat alone in the command room of the Fortress starship, his mind racing through the battle strategies for the next fight, a sudden, unexpected message flashed across the screen. It was from the Vrix, but this time it wasn't from a soldier or commander. It was a message from someone much more dangerous. Queen Xenia of the Zalid. The message was short and to the point. Come, show me your strength. Roan stared at the words on the screen, confusion and curiosity creeping into his thoughts. Queen Xenia was known across the galaxy as a merciless ruler, an alien queen whose strength was legendary. She was feared by everyone, even the Vrix. But why would she want to see his strength? Could it be a trap? Roan wondered, but there was no time for hesitation. If Xenia, one of the most feared beings in the galaxy, had asked for him, he couldn't ignore her request. He was a soldier, and soldiers followed orders. He activated his personal ship, the Lancer, and began his journey to the coordinates provided by the Queen. The journey took hours, and as Roan traveled through the vast emptiness of space, his thoughts continued to swirl around the message. What did she want? What could she hope to gain from him? As the Lancer descended onto the desolate moon that was the meeting place, Roan couldn't shake the feeling that something significant was about to happen. The moon's surface was cracked and barren, an eerily quiet place. As he stepped out of his ship, the dry, cold air hit him. He could see the distant silhouette of Queen Xenia's forces standing at attention. They were like statues, cold and unyielding. Roan's eyes moved to Xenia herself. She stood tall and proud, her armor gleaming under the pale light of the twin moons. Her eyes were a piercing blue, cold and calculating. When she saw Roan approach, she didn't smile, nor did she show any sign of warmth. Instead, she stared at him with a look that was equal parts curiosity and challenge. I demanded to see your strength, Captain Roan, Queen Xenia said, her voice calm but carrying an undeniable authority. But not your armor. I want to see you without it. Remove it. Roan froze for a moment. He had been in countless battles, fought with the best of them, but never had someone asked him to take off his armor. His armor was his shield, his protection, and it was also a symbol of the strength that humanity had built over centuries. It wasn't just a suit, it was part of him. It had saved his life countless times, yet here was Queen Xenia, a being of untold power, demanding that he remove it. She wasn't asking. She was commanding. He had no choice but to comply. The moment he began to remove the exo-armor, he noticed the change in Xenia's posture. Her stance was still strong, but there was a glimmer of something different in her eyes. She was watching, studying him with an intensity that sent a chill down his spine. The armor came off slowly, piece by piece, revealing the man underneath. He wasn't some larger-than-life figure in a powerful suit. He was just a soldier, a human, nothing more. The final piece, the helmet, came off last. Roan's dark hair fell around his face as he stood before her, fully exposed. His body was scarred, his muscles defined from years of combat, but he was still a man, no different from any other human who had ever fought and bled for his people. There was nothing supernatural about him. Queen Xenia didn't speak for a long moment, and the silence between them grew heavy. Her gaze was fixed on him, and he could feel the weight of her eyes as though she was trying to see something deeper. But Roan stood firm, his chest rising and falling with each breath. He wouldn't break. He had never broken. Then suddenly Xenia stepped forward. She was close now, within arm's reach, and Roan could feel the power radiating from her. She looked up at him, and for the first time there was a crack in her impervious mask. Her voice, when it came, was quieter, almost as if she were speaking to herself. You are different. The words were unexpected, and they caught Roan off guard. He had expected anger, challenge, maybe even mockery, but there was none of that. There was only something else, something that made him wonder if perhaps Xenia wasn't just testing his strength. Perhaps she was testing something else. Xenia took another step closer, her eyes never leaving his. I have never met anyone like you, human, she said softly, almost reverently. Your strength is not just in your body or your armor. It is something else. Something I did not expect. Rowan stood tall, unwavering. Strength comes from the will to fight, Zinnia. Nothing more, nothing less. The alien queen's eyes flickered with a strange emotion. Was it respect? Was it possible that this queen, who had shown no mercy to countless enemies, was now looking at him in a new light? She studied him for a moment longer, then nodded. You will face challenges, Rowan. You will face me. Prove that your strength is more than just physical. And with that, the challenge was set. Captain Rowan stood before Queen Zinnia, her piercing blue eyes locked on him. The challenge had been set, and now he had to prove that his strength was more than just the protection of his armor. But Rowan was not one to back down from a challenge, especially not one as formidable as Zinnia, the alien queen. Zinnia turned away from him and gestured to her soldiers, who stood in perfect formation, awaiting her orders. You have stripped away your armor, human. Now you will face the trials to prove your strength, not with your weapons, not with your armor, but with your mind, your body, and your spirit. Rowan nodded, his mind focused. He had been through countless battles, survived impossible odds, but this was different. This wasn't just about fighting to survive. This was a test of everything he was. Zinnia's voice echoed through the barren landscape. The first trial will be physical. You will face my strongest warriors in combat. If you survive, we will proceed to the next. The ground beneath them trembled slightly as several of Zinnia's elite soldiers stepped forward. They were tall, strong, and covered in battle armor, but Rowan could see the calm confidence in their eyes. They were ready. But so was he. Rowan's fists clenched as he prepared for the fight. He didn't need the exo-armor to win. He had survived worse with less. As the first soldier lunged at him, Rowan sidestepped with lightning speed, his body reacting instinctively. The alien soldier's momentum carried him past, and Rowan struck swiftly, landing a powerful blow that sent the soldier to the ground. The other soldiers hesitated, surprised by his speed and strength. Rowan didn't give them time to regroup. He moved with the precision and experience of someone who had fought for his life time and time again. Each move was calculated, each strike deliberate. One by one, the soldiers fell, unable to match his agility and raw power. Rowan's human strength, not enhanced by any armor, was enough to defeat them all. As the last soldier crumpled to the ground, Rowan stood tall, breathing heavily, but unbroken. He looked toward Zinnia, waiting for her response. Zinnia's expression had shifted. The cold, calculating queen who had once demanded to see his strength now regarded him with a different look. There was respect in her eyes, but something more, something that Rowan couldn't quite place. You have passed the first trial, Zinnia said, her voice carrying a weight of acknowledgement. Now we move to the second. Rowan nodded, his mind already focused on what would come next. If this was going to be a true test of strength, he had to be prepared for anything. Zinnia waved her hand again, and the ground beneath them shifted, revealing a massive stone platform. The second trial was not a simple physical test. It was a battle of the mind. You will face me in a game of strategy, she declared, stepping forward. If you can outsmart me, you will have proven your true strength. Rowan's heart raced, but he remained calm. A battle of wits. This was something he hadn't expected. But he was no stranger to tactics. He had led armies, planned strategies, and outmaneuvered enemies countless times. His mind was as sharp as his body, and he would use that to his advantage. The game was complex, a simulation of an ancient war fought between two alien factions. Each player controlled armies, fortresses, and resources, each move calculated and critical. Zinnia's confidence was evident, but Rowan had something she didn't, the ability to think outside the box. As the game began, Rowan studied Zinnia's moves carefully. She was a master strategist, no doubt, but Rowan could see the flaws in her strategy, the overconfidence in her positioning. He didn't rush. Instead, he bided his time, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Zinnia made a bold move, advancing her forces into an open position. Rowan smiled to himself, his fingers moving swiftly over the controls. In one decisive move, he set a trap, surrounding her forces on all sides. The queen's expression faltered for the first time. You anticipated my move? She asked, a hint of surprise in her voice. Rowan nodded. You made it too obvious. With the trap set, Xenia was forced into a defensive position. She fought back, but Roan's strategy had already tipped the balance in his favor. The game ended with Roan's victory, and Xenia's forces lay in ruins, defeated by his superior tactics. "Impressive," Xenia murmured, her voice softer than before. "You have passed the second trial." Roan stood, breathing evenly, but his mind was still sharp. He knew there was one final trial. It wasn't just about strength or strategy. This last test would be the true measure of his character. Xenia's eyes turned serious again, her tone quiet but firm. "The final trial is a test of your spirit. You will face your greatest fear." Roan froze. His greatest fear? What could that possibly mean? He had fought countless battles, faced death on multiple occasions. Fear was a distant memory, something he had long since conquered. But Xenia's gaze was unyielding. She stepped aside, revealing a dark chamber beneath the stone platform. Inside there was only silence. "Step forward, Roan," she said, her voice low. "You will face what lies within, and you will not know what it is until you enter." Roan took a deep breath. His hands trembled slightly, but he didn't hesitate. He walked into the chamber, unsure of what awaited him. The darkness consumed him, and for a moment Roan felt a cold, suffocating fear wrap around him. Then, in the distance, he saw it, a figure standing tall, silhouetted by the dim light. It was a woman, her face hidden in shadows, but her presence unmistakable. Roan's heart skipped a beat as he realized who it was. His mother. But how? She had died years ago in a raid, one of the first losses he had ever experienced. Her face, once so full of warmth, now looked cold and distant. She stood watching him but did not speak. The fear surged again. This was his greatest fear, seeing his mother alive again only to know that she was no longer real, that she had been lost to him forever. "Roan," her voice echoed softly in the darkness. "You couldn't save me." Roan's knees buckled, the weight of the memory crashing down on him. His mother had died, and he had never been able to protect her. He had failed her, but then a strength surged from within him. He remembered everything he had fought for. He remembered his soldiers, his comrades, his people. He remembered that he had never given up, no matter the odds. "No," he said firmly, his voice steady. "I didn't fail you. I fight for those who can't protect themselves. I fight for humanity, and I will never stop fighting." The image of his mother vanished, replaced by the cold walls of the chamber. Roan stood tall, his heart strong. He had passed the final trial. Xenia stood at the entrance of the chamber, watching him with a look of quiet respect. "You have passed all 3 trials, Roan. You have proven that your strength lies not just in your body or your mind, but in your spirit. Humanity is strong, and you, Captain Roan, are the embodiment of that strength." Roan walked out of the chamber, his chest swelling with pride. He had proven himself not just to Xenia, but to himself. Humanity's strength was something no one could deny. Xenia stepped forward, extending a hand. "You are a true warrior, Roan. The galaxy will remember you." And with that, a new alliance was formed, one based on respect, strength, and the unyielding spirit of humanity.